In this video, I shoot a winter portrait in my small home studio with added snow. Hello, I'm Gavin Hoey and you're watching Adorama TV, brought to you by Adorama, the camera store that's got everything for us photographers. And today you join me in my small home studio. Except today we're going to be outside on a cold winter's evening with the air full of snow. Yeah, that's going to take some real imagination, and when it comes to adding the snow, that's going to take a bit of post-processing. We'll get to that in a little bit, but first we need to take some photos. So let's get a light set, let's get a model in, let's get shooting. So to help me out today, I've got the amazing Lauren. Lauren's going to be the model for this shoot, and as you can see, she's sat on a park bench. Well, in my mind, it's a park bench, but of course we're here in my small home studio. Now, as well as the bench, we've got a black background. The lighting for this is going to be a multi-light setup, which means 3 lights. I'm going to do each light individually and work them out one at a time, starting with our key light, which is an eVOLV 200. Now, I've got it off to the side because if it was centered, it would give really flat lighting, which isn't what we're going for here. I've also got it in a 70cm softbox with a grid, and it's the grid that really makes a difference because that means I can get direction and control of the light, very important in a small home studio. Now, I've already metered this out for f4, so let's take a test picture and see how this looks. So that looks really good. I like the contrast between the lit side and the shady side, and in my mind this is light being cast by a lamppost which is off to the side and elevated up in the air. So the second light for this setup is around the back, and it's another eVOLV 200, and it's going to act as a separation light. Now what this should do is put a little bit of light on Lauren's shoulders, on her hat, and just separate her off of the pure black background. It'll do one other job as well. When we add some smoke into the scene, it'll put some light onto the smoke, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Now you'll notice there is a blue gel on that light, and that's because this is a winter's evening, nighttime type shot. So I want that cold blue feeling just to go over her shoulders and hat. So let's see how this works, because if we put too much power through this, it could kill the shot. I'll start with maybe 1/8 power, and as you can see, that's just a little bit too bright, a bit too much blue. So let's bring it all the way down to 1/64 power, and we'll try the same setup. And that's much more subtle, but when we add the smoke into that, that's going to be probably about right. My third light is what I'm going to call the optional light. You don't necessarily need it, but it can add a little bit of something to the shot. Because at the moment we've got a key light that's putting light on Lauren and on that side of the bench, but this side is really dark and in shadow. I kind of like that, especially with the separation light. But because we've got some shadows there, we can use this third light with another blue gel to add some blue colour into the shadows for that real cold winter feel. Now it's on a very, very low power, just a little hint of light into the shadows. Let's see how this looks. Here we go. So that looks absolutely great. I think we're all set, ready to go. So Lauren, are you ready?
Ready.
Let's do the shoot. Here we go. I always knew that there'd be some post-processing to do with this picture, but you don't have to do everything I'm going to show you. But if you're going to do one thing, it's probably going to be snow. Now, if you're lucky, you have some real fake snow in a can like this here, but you don't actually need this because we're going to add some fake snow using Photoshop. Now to do it, I'm going to head over to my blog at www.gavtrain.com find the Instant Snow version 2 Photoshop action and download it for free, unzip it and install it. You'll find a link to that in the description below. Now, I've already done that, so let's have a look and see how it works. So I've got 4 types of snow with this action, and I'm going to choose the second one down, heavy snow. I've already got the picture of Lauren ready to go, so all I'm going to do is click on the play button and let the action do its thing. Now what it does is to create 3 different layers of snow. It's all automated and it just takes a minute or 2 to complete. But once it's done, I can control how the snow appears in front of Lauren. So if I choose the top layer and I go get a paintbrush with a nice big brush, maybe not quite that big, and make sure that black is my foreground colour, I can just paint away any bits of snow that are in front of Lauren on that layer. Then the middle-sized snow, I can paint that away as well, and then the small snow from her face like that. Now, some of the snow in this picture is actually real fake snow, so I can't just paint it away, and that's fine. I like that. It looks really good. Once you're done and you're completely happy, just go up to Layer and then Flatten Image. Now, we've got to talk about the lighting in this picture, because the lighting is pretty good, but it could be slightly better, particularly with this. So this is the lantern, and I want to light the lantern, but it's never going to work. This is really old and just doesn't work. So I'm going to light that inside of Camera Raw. So to do that, let's go to Filter, and then Camera Raw Filter, and from here I'm going to get the adjustment brush. Now to light the lantern, I need to set a few things up. I'm going to put the temperature all the way to maximum, and in this case also the tint as well. I'll take the exposure and put that all the way to maximum, the highlights all the way to maximum, and finally the clarity, which is going to go, yeah, you guessed it, maximum. Everything else is zeroed out. Then with a nice small brush, with 1 or 2 clicks, I can actually light the lantern like that. Now if the lantern was lit, there'd be a nice warm glow around it. So let's add a warm glow by clicking on the new adjustment brush. This time I'll leave the temperature and tint alone, but bring the exposure down to just under a stop. I'll lose the highlights and I'll lose the clarity. And with a bigger brush, we can just add a sort of a nice warm glow around the lantern like that. So that works really well, but there's a little bit more lighting effect I want to do here. Because I'm in a small studio, sometimes you can't light things exactly how you'd like, and Photoshop can really help with just little adjustments. For example, a bit more contrast on the right-hand side of the bench, a bit darker basically. So for that, I'm going to use the radial filter. I'll take the exposure down, maybe a stop and a half. Everything else is zeroed out, and I'll just drag out a nice little sort of, yeah, a bit of a vignette that just covers the left-hand side and makes the right-hand side darker. And whilst I'm there, let's add a bit of clarity in, just so the bench stands out from the darkness a little bit clearer. So I'm happy with that, click OK, and that leaves me one more thing to do. Now in the video, when I was doing the shoot, I said what I thought was above Lauren there is some sort of street light, and that's the light that's actually on Lauren's face. So to really make that obvious, I'm going to apply a small lighting effect. Now to do it, it's going to be a layer, so let's go to Layer, New and Layer, click OK, and then I'm going to get a nice big paintbrush. Yep, about that sort of size, and I'm going to paint a little splodge of light. Now the colour of light needs to fit in with the theme of the photo, so I could choose a foreground colour from the picture, or I could choose one that I feel is about right, because I think a lighter blue would probably be about there. Let's try that one. One click and see how that looks. That looks great. We'll just drop the opacity down a little bit, just so that blends in really nicely and just gives that little bit of a glow in the top left corner. And with a few more tweaks and adjustments, there it is. My snowy winter bench picture is completed. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave me a comment below. If you want to see more videos from myself and the other amazing presenters right here on Adorama TV, you know what you got to do. You got to click on that subscribe button and click the bell icon. I'm Gavin Hoey. Thanks for watching.